Alright, so a pleasant morning to each and everyone. And so, for today, we're going to discuss about Module 6, Innovative Technologies for Assessment, Task, and Teaching and Learning.
Hello everyone, my name is Maria Luis Arcarelia, and for today, we will going to talk about ICT and assessment of learning. So it says here in our PowerPoint presentation that assessment and learning discusses the basic of assessment practices, explore how various technology tools can be integrated effectively for assessing students' learning, and describes the emerging trends in technology-based assessment in teaching and learning. In simpler terms, assessment of learning is basically the final check of what a student learn and can do after the lesson. It also answers the question, what did the student learn? Or the final goal of this is to check or judge the mastery of a student after the discussion. And for us to be able to do that, we will be also talking about the 4 types of assessment. So the 4 types of assessment are, first, the formative assessment, second, the summative assessment, third, the diagnostic assessment, and last but not the least, the authentic assessment. So later on, we will be discussing these 4 types of assessment and how or what we will gonna do in these assessments. Okay, so now we will be talking about the 4 types of assessment. So first one, we have formative assessment. So it says here in our PowerPoint presentation that formative assessment provides feedback and information during the instructional process while learning is taking place and while learning is occurring. So formative assessment is the quickest assessment among those 4. For example, in the beginning of the class, the teacher will ask about the prior knowledge of a student about the topic, and in the middle of the class, the teacher will ask if, did you get our lesson or do you understand? That is the form of formative assessment. So, second one, we have summative assessment. The summative assessment takes place after the learning has been completed and provides information and feedback that sums up the teaching and learning process. So this summative assessment happens when the end of the discussion. It could be, example for this is quizzes. The sum up of the lesson, the teacher will give you those questions that related to your topic, and the students will going to answer it to assess their learning. So third, we have diagnostic assessment. A diagnostic assessment can help you identify your students' current knowledge of a subject, their skill, sets up capabilities, and to clarify microconception before teaching takes place. Teach and how to teach it. So in this assessment, it happens before the discussion. Okay, for example, the teacher provide a questions or related to their topic so that the teacher will see or to identify which are the knowledge. So it happens before the discussion. So the teacher will adjust. So last but not the least, we have authentic learning. So what is authentic learning? It's a way of evaluating a student's knowledge and skills that having to perform tasks that closely resembles real-life situation. So from my perception, authentic assessment is the hardest and the most challenging one because it requires the students to use a variety of skills. For example, in writing a subject, the professor asks you to write a persuasive essay. So that's the form of authentic assessment. So to sum up everything, when we say formative assessment, it happens throughout the discussion. Second one, we have a summative assessment, happens at the end of the discussion. Diagnostic assessment happens at the beginning of discussion. Last, Authentic assessment is the use of your knowledge into a real life situation.
Okay, let's proceed to our topic. It talks about role of the ICT assessment. So, the use of ICT in assessment is very helpful to teachers because students' information and result of examination can be recorded and stored and can easily be retrieved. Yes, dito kasi sa ating role of the ICT assessment is napapadali yung mga gawain ng ating mga teachers, lalo na kung gusto nilang malaman yung information or result of the examination of the students, and they can easily be retrieved. With the use of ICT, the teachers can right away give feedback to students on the result of assessment. So, example, using ICT to check reading comprehension. Sa ating traditional way, we have a reading story, paper quiz, and slow feedback. Sa reading a story kasi is a student read a story in a textbook. Yes, and sa paper quiz naman is they take a paper quiz with questions about the story, and we have slow feedback. Yes, because students get their grades back a few days later. So sa ating ICT way is we have digital story, interactive quiz, and instant feedback. Yes, dito kasi sa ating digital story is students read the story on a computer or tablet. Yes, malaya silang makakapagbasa ng story sa computer or tablets or even sa kanilang mga cellphones because the story might have pictures, sounds, or even animation. So, sa ating interaction quiz naman, instead of paper quiz, students take quiz right on the computer. Yes, pwede silang makakapag-take ng quiz gamit yung computer nila or kahit yung tablet or cellphone. Yes, at malaya rin makakapagawa ng quiz yung mga teachers natin gamit yung technology. Dito naman is we have an instant feedback. Yes, because as soon as a student answer a question, they know if they got it right or wrong. If they got it wrong, the computer can show them the part of the story that has the answer. Yes, malalaman agad nila kung tama ba or mali yung answer nila na inilagay nila sa kanilang quiz gamit yung technology, and mabilis nilang makikita yung result ng kanilang yung result ng kanilang quiz or examination. Okay, let's proceed to our next topic. It talks about current trends in assessment and learning. Sa current trends in assessment and learning kasi is sa ating traditional assessment is like object tests such as a multiple choice, matching type, or true or false, or even paper and pencil tests receive criticism by some expert in assessment. So, dito kasi sa ating 21st century assessment is nag-i-include ng utilizing multiple measure of assessment, increasing the use of technology, and focus on the growth and development of the learner. And the last one is differentiating the role and responsibility of the teachers, administrators, or even the other stakeholders. Yes, nag-i-include sila ng utilizing multiple measure of assessment and increasing the use of technology, and they focus the growth of development of the learner. So, example, assessing creativity in art class. Sa ating traditional way is like example is copy a painting because students are asked to copy a famous painting as closely as possible. And we have another example is grading. The teachers grades based on how accurately the students copy the original. Yes, dito nagbe-base yung mga teachers natin, or dito sila nagbe-base para sa grades of the students, kung gaano ba ka-accurate yung student sa pag-copy ng original na gawa. Yes, and sa ating creative way naman is we have a creative project. Sa creative project kasi students are given a them like nature or emotion, and they can choose any art from they like. Yes, malaya silang makakapagpili kung ano yung gusto nila, kung gusto ba nila ng painting, sculpture, or even digital art or etc. Yes, malaya silang makakapagpili ng gusto nila, and they create a piece of art that express the them by their own way. Yes, pwede silang makakapag-express ng them na gusto nila, or mga designs na gusto nila. And we have another example, rubric. Yes, rubric is a clear guidelines. The teachers give students a rubric that explains how their work will be graded. Dito kasi is malalaman ng students kung paano yung grading system or paano yung grading na binibigay sa kanila ng guro because of the rubric. So okay, that's all of my topic, and thank you.
Alright, so now let's proceed on lesson 2, criteria and choosing appropriate assessment tools. So when we talk about assessment, what comes into your mind when you talk about assessment? Yes, assessment. So, assessment is a vital part of teaching because it helps us measure students' achievement and gather reliable data that can guide educational decisions. Choosing the right assessment tool ensures that students are given fair opportunities to demonstrate their knowledge and skills. And so, there are 3 main factors to consider when selecting assessment tools. First, we have the goals of assessment. So, the teachers must be clear about what they want to measure. For example, if the goal is to check whether students can apply mathematical formula, then a written test with problem-solving equations is appropriate. But if the goal is to measure creativity in writing, then a portfolio or essay would be better. The tool must always match the learning objectives. Do you understand? And so next is we have the second methods of assessment. These can be direct or indirect. Direct methods involve students showing their knowledge or skills through observation tasks such as exams, presentations, or laboratory experiments. Indirect methods, on the other hand, gather perceptions or reflections such as through surveys, interview, or self-assessment. Like for example, if a teacher wants to know how confident students feel about public speaking, a reflection paper or survey may be used. But if the teacher wants to see actual speaking skills, then a speech presentation is more appropriate. Okay, so the third is we have the interval in giving assessment. So, timing is very important. Assessments can be formative, which means they are given during the learning process to provide ongoing feedback, or summative, which are given in the end of a unit of course to measure overall achievement. For example, short weekly quizzes are called formative because they help track progress, while a final exam at the end of the semester is a summative. Okay? Teachers must balance these intervals so students are not overwhelmed but still receive continuous feedback. But aside from these 3 factors, assessment tools must also have certain key characteristics. First, they should measure the desired level of performance. For example, if the goal is to measure teamwork, then a group project is more suitable than an individual test. Okay, next, let's proceed on cost-effective, which is number 2. The tool should be practical in terms of time, effort, and resources. For instance, a teacher may choose a short online quiz instead of lengthy paper exam because it saves time in checking and still provides meaningful results. So now let's proceed on 3. Number 3, useful for decision making. Assessment results should help teachers improve their teaching strategies and guide students in their learning. For example, if a math quiz shows that most students struggle with fractions, the teachers can adjust the next lesson to review the topic more thoroughly. Then, number 4, reasonably accurate and truthful. The tool must reflect students' real abilities. For example, if a student is good at oral communication but struggles with writing, a balanced assessment that includes both written and oral tasks will be given or will give a more thoughtful picture of their skills. Alright, so next is we have the number 5, dependable and consistent. An assessment tool should give stable result when used repeatedly under similar conditions. For example, if a rubric is used to grade essay, it should consistently produce fair scores whether applied today or next month. 6, we have the ongoing next one time or ongoing not one time, sorry. And so, assessment should be continuous, not just a single event. For example, instead of giving only one final exam, a teacher may use quizzes, projects, and class participation throughout the semester to track growth and improvement. Alright, so in conclusion, choosing the right assessment tool requires us to think about our goals, the methods we use, and the timing of assessment. At the same time, the tool must be accurate, cost-effective, useful, consistent, and ongoing. By following these written or the criteria, we ensure our assessments truly support students' learning and help us make better educational decisions.
What is rubrics? A rubrics is a scoring tool used to assess performances, a product, or a project. There are 2 types of rubrics, everyone. First is the analytic rubrics. This means it breaks down the assessment into component parts, evaluating criteria separately. Dito na nakapaloob yung excellent, good, fair, needs improvement. The second rubrics, everyone, it is the holistic rubrics. This means it evaluates the overall quality of a product or a performance or a project. That's all. Thank you.
So now, I will discuss about the electronic portfolio or what we call e-portfolio. So an electronic portfolio, also known as a digital or online portfolio, is a collection of electronic evidence, meaning mga files, pictures, blog entries, or any digital work na iniipon at minamanage ng isang user online. According to Zimmerman 2012, this portfolio is usually stored or accessed through the web. In simpler terms, it's like your personal online folder where you can show all your best works, achievements, and even reflection. It serves two main purposes, which is to demonstrate your skills and achievements and to serve as a platform for self-expression. So example, my electronic portfolio contains my sample essay, class projects, and photos from school events. It's helped me show my teachers how to improve my writing and research.
Okay, now let's proceed to the 5 types of e-portfolio. The number 1 is ideal portfolio. It contains all work of students and it is not given to provide students a grade. It means that ideal portfolio is a table of students' work, performance, and achievement. The purpose of ideal e-portfolio is to showcase students' progress and achievement, encouraging self-reflection and learning, and providing a comprehensive view of students' work. The next one is professional e-portfolio. These e-portfolio are primarily of a way to demonstrate or showcase the highlight of a student's academically career. It means it is an online collection of a student's work that highlight their academic achievement and showcase their skills and accomplishment. It is a way of students to demonstrate their capabilities and experience to potential employers, graduate schools, or other stakeholders.
Documentation portfolio. It involves the collection of work over time, showing growth and improvements, reflecting student learning to identified outcomes. So, documentation portfolio is like collection of work that shows growth and improvements based on learning outcomes. Learning e-portfolio. These portfolios are typically created by a student as part of learning activity as a way to demonstrate learning and the learning process. These portfolio are often shared with other students to elicit peer feedback. Learning portfolios support the idea of formative feedback as an essential part of the learning process. So, learning a portfolio is like a digital collection of your schoolwork that shows what you have learned and helps you improve with feedback with your peers. Example, you create a website with your project and you share it with your classmates and your peers giving you a feedback, so you improve your project based on their feedback. Evaluation assessment e-portfolio. The teacher might utilize this for both formative and summative assessment. Feedback. For example, your teacher checks your portfolio and assess your understanding and gives you feedback to improve your portfolio.
So that's all. I hope you learned something. Bye!